Have you ever calculated how much of your life is spent staring at a glowing rectangle? The numbers might actually terrify you. On average, a person spends about a third of their waking hours consuming random content. That is over 10 years of your life gone. And while 99% of people are trapped in this endless loop of scrolling, a tiny fraction, the 1%, are building empires. Let's meet Bob. Bob represents the 99%. He has big dreams, massive goals, and a to-do list that could wrap around the moon. But right now, Bob is doing what Bob does best: watching a dog riding a skateboard on the internet while his deadline screams. His desk is a war zone of coffee cups and unread papers. The clock is ticking loudly, but Bob's brain has hit the snooze button. "I'll just do it tomorrow," Bob whispers to himself, the universal battle cry of chronic procrastinator. Tomorrow is the perfect day. But spoiler alert, when tomorrow finally arrives, it magically transforms into today, and the exact same cycle repeats itself again and again. Deep down, Bob feels a crushing wave of guilt. He knows he should be working, he wants to be productive, but he just isn't. So what is wrong with Bob? And by extension, what is wrong with most of us? Are we just genetically programmed to be lazy? Society has a very convenient answer for this. We are told that we simply lack motivation. If only we were motivated enough, right? So we try to fix it. We guzzle energy drinks and binge-watch 3 hours of intense, screaming motivational speeches at 2 a.m. We feel a massive rush of adrenaline. Yes, I am going to conquer the world. I will wake up at 5 a.m. and run a marathon. But then morning comes, the alarm rings, the motivation has completely evaporated, leaving behind nothing but a strong desire to stay in bed. Here is the uncomfortable truth that no one wants to admit. Relying on motivation is a trap. Motivation is a myth, a complete lie. Think about it. Motivation is just an emotion. And like any emotion, it is completely unreliable. It comes and goes as it pleases. One minute you are on top of the world, ready to build an empire. The next minute you are emotionally devastated because you dropped your sandwich. Relying on motivation to get things done is exactly like relying on the weather to decide if you should go to work. If it's sunny, great, but the moment it starts raining... Bob looks out the window, sighs, and crawls right back under the blankets. Now let's meet Max. Max represents the 1%. At first glance, he looks just like Bob. He breathes air, he eats food. When Max wakes up and sees it raining outside, he doesn't feel motivated either. He hates the cold just as much as Bob does. His brain is begging him to stay inside. But here's the critical difference between the two, the true secret of the 1%. Max puts on his shoes and goes out into the freezing rain anyway, not because he wants to, but because he has to. This is the essence of discipline. Discipline is not a feeling, it is a system. It is a core part of your identity. Motivation says, I will do this when I feel like it. Discipline says, I will do this regardless of how I feel. Top 1% do not have a magical infinite supply of motivation. They have simply built a system that bypasses their feelings entirely. They treat their hardest daily habits just like brushing their teeth. You don't need a motivational video to brush your teeth, do you? You just do it. Even if you are tired, even if you are completely miserable, you do it anyway. But to understand how Max built this superpower, we need to look under the hood. We need to look inside his head. Because the battle between Bob and Max isn't about willpower. It's a chemical war happening constantly inside your brain. So if the illusion of knowledge is the trap, what actually stops us from breaking out of it and taking action? It is a massive, invisible psychological barrier called resistance. It stands directly between knowing and doing. Every single time you decide to finally change your life, start a business, or hit the gym, this wall instantly appears. Your brain hates this wall. So it immediately starts projecting terrifying worst-case scenarios onto it just to scare you away. It takes a simple, harmless task, like waking up 1 hour earlier, and mentally makes it feel like fighting a hungry bear with your bare hands. Then comes the second, more sophisticated trap, perfectionism. It is the ultimate socially acceptable excuse for the lazy mind. You tell yourself you will definitely start when the timing is perfect, when you have enough money, or when the stars align. Spoiler alert. The universe does not care about your bank account, and the perfect moment is a myth invented by cowards. True action.
Let's get started.
Capacity is not about doing things perfectly. It is about doing things poorly, messily, but doing them right now. Think of action as a giant, heavy stone wheel. The physics of getting this wheel to move are brutal. The very first push requires an agonizing amount of energy. Your entire body wants to quit before it even turns an inch. Your brain will panic. It will literally throw error messages at you, begging you to go back to the comfortable couch. Will offer you a million perfectly logical reasons to delay. It is raining outside. You are tired. Let's watch one more video. But if you ignore the excuses, grit your teeth, and just keep pushing, something magical happens. The wheel turns. Momentum takes over. What was once pure agony becomes effortless. And suddenly, the impossible task becomes your new normal routine. Let us dive deeper into the biology of failure. Welcome to the comfort zone. Today, it is a psychological space where your activities and behaviors fit a perfectly predictable routine that minimizes all stress. Inside this little bubble, you know exactly what is going to happen every single day. No risks, no pain, and absolutely no surprises. It feels like a warm, fuzzy blanket. But in reality, it is a perfectly designed prison. Because outside of this tiny, comfortable box is the exact place where all growth, wealth, and success actually live. The very moment you try to step one foot outside of this zone to start something new and difficult, your brain immediately hits the master panic button. Warning, unknown territory detected. Beat the amygdala, the primitive fear center of your brain. Think of it as an overprotective, slightly hysterical security guard. Its only job is to aggressively shove you back into the box the very second it detects any form of uncertainty or discomfort. You see, human biology is hopelessly outdated. It has not received a software update in roughly 100,000 years. To your primitive brain, the extreme stress of being chased by a hungry, angry predator feels exactly the same as the stress of starting a new business, learning a new skill, or investing your savings. It does not care about your dreams of driving a luxury car or retiring early. Your brain's primary job is not to make you successful. Its only goal is to keep you breathing until tomorrow, and staying broke on the couch is mathematically very safe. Therefore, if you want to achieve any level of extraordinary success, you have to actively fight against your own biology. This biological fear of the unknown leads to a devastating modern condition, the attachment syndrome. It usually starts subtly, hiding in plain sight. It starts with your physical possessions. Look around your house. You probably have a broken 10-year-old electric fan sitting uselessly in the corner. It does not work. It makes a horrible noise. Yet when someone tells you to throw it away, you fiercely protect it. Your brain instantly whispers excuses. It holds sentimental value, or I might need it for spare parts one day. It does not. It is just garbage. It is literally just rusted metal taking up your valuable square footage. Cluttered, hoarding physical space is almost always a direct reflection of a cluttered, fearful mind. Why do we keep broken things? Because to the primitive brain, discarding them feels exactly like losing a part of ourselves. Psychologists call this the sunk cost fallacy. We overvalue useless things simply because we already paid money or time for them. Think about that ugly, moth-eaten shirt sitting at the absolute bottom of your closet for the last 5 years. You refuse to donate it or throw it away because you tell yourself, but I spent $20 on this back in 2018. But you fail to realize that the mental energy spent storing, organizing, and looking at that useless shirt costs you way more than 20 bucks. Every single piece of junk, every broken item you refuse to let go of is another heavy brick. You put these bricks into your backpack and then try to climb the steep mountain of success. It is physically impossible. The universe has a strict rule. You absolutely cannot grab onto new wealth if your hands are already full of old garbage. But the attachment syndrome does not stop at old fans and ugly shirts. It aggressively infects your entire life and career. It is the exact same psychological trap that keeps you stuck in a soul-crushing dead-end job for years. You complain about your horrible micromanaging boss and your pathetic insulting salary every single day. You tell everyone who will listen how completely miserable you are. You swear to them that you are going to quit tomorrow. But the very moment an actual opportunity appears, a door to a new, exciting, but completely unknown future, your primitive brain instantly panics. It violently slams that door shut and locks it. Aggressively whispers, "What if you fail? What if the new boss is even worse? What if you go completely bankrupt?" So you swallow your pride, walk right back to your miserable little desk, and proudly call it stability. This is the grand illusion of the comfort zone. We are absolutely terrified of losing what we currently have. even when what we have is actively destroying our potential. You are essentially clinging to the mast of a sinking ship. Why? Because drowning slowly in familiar waters somehow feels safer to your brain than swimming towards an unknown island. This applies to everything. It is why you cling to toxic relationships, and it is why you keep your terrible daily habits. You would rather suffer the known, slow pain of being unhealthy than face the unknown, acute discomfort of going to the gym. Here is a profound truth. Your current life is not just a result of what you choose to aggressively pursue. It is entirely defined by the toxic things, the comfortable people, and the outdated habits that you completely refuse to let go of. Now we arrive at the most painful part of this equation, the actual devastating cost of your comfort zone. The greatest lie you tell yourself is that doing nothing is a neutral state. You think you are safely paused, but time is not a video game. There is absolutely no pause button in reality. While you are sitting comfortably on your couch watching another video, the clock is relentlessly ticking. The entire global economy, inflation, and all of your competition are essentially running on a high-speed treadmill. If the world is moving forward at 10 miles an hour and you choose to simply stand perfectly still, or not staying in the same place, you are being violently thrown backward into poverty. You must understand this universal truth. Inaction is an action. Deciding not to decide is a very real decision. In economics, this is known as the cost of inaction. It is the invisible compounding tax you pay every day just for being scared. Let us fast forward. You decide to wait for the perfect moment. 5 whole years pass by in the blink of an eye. You are sitting on the exact same couch, looking at the exact same broken fan, and you are still completely broke. Except now you are 5 years older, you have significantly less physical energy, and you are far more cynical about life. Meanwhile, all those massive opportunities you were too afraid to take have flown right past you into someone else's hands. You try to reach out and grab them now, but your action capacity is so completely atrophied that you cannot even move. This is the ultimate tragedy of the human condition. The price of your temporary comfort is entirely paid with your future. Oh, how do we actually escape this biological and psychological trap? There is one absolute unbreakable rule of success, a universal law of physics for your life. If you truly want to have things that you have never had, you must be completely willing to do things that you have never done. You cannot expect a different output if you keep running the exact same mental programming. To break the cycle of inertia, you have to actively and intentionally seek out discomfort. When your primitive brain screams at you to stop, you must realize that fear is not a wall, it is a compass. The fear is pointing exactly in the direction you need to go. You must smash through it. This means finally taking that old garbage fan and throwing it straight into the dumpster without hesitation. It means stopping the endless complaining and actively deciding to change your environment, no matter how scary it is. As taking a new action will be painful, it will feel awkward, heavy, and completely exhausting. But that discomfort is not a sign to quit. It is literally the sensation of weakness leaving your body. Every single time you force yourself to act despite the fear, you are physically rewiring your neural pathways. You are building a brand new mental infrastructure, one that is designed for action, growth, and wealth. You cannot just modify your comfort zone. You must shatter the old pattern completely to build a new reality. To see exactly how this plays out in the real world, let us look at a very simple case study. Meet person A and person B. They are completely identical in intelligence, age, and background. They both start at the exact same miserable starting line. Broke, tired, and unhappy with their lives. They both consume the exact same educational content online about how to build wealth and change their reality. Person A absorbs the knowledge, gets his cheap dopamine hit, and confidently declares, "I will definitely start next Monday." Person B feels the exact same fear and laziness, but he physically forces himself off the couch immediately. Person B starts executing. It is incredibly ugly. He makes terrible mistakes. He looks foolish and amateurish. Person A sits comfortably on his couch, actively mocking Person B for failing and looking stupid. Person A's illusion of knowledge makes him feel intellectually superior to Person B's messy, imperfect reality. But the universe only rewards physical motion. Fast forward exactly 1 year later. Person B's messy actions have finally compounded. The giant wheel of momentum is now spinning effortlessly for him. He has built a successful life, improved his health, and completely transformed his physical reality. Person A looks at person B's success and tells
He
himself
just
a
got
comforting,
lucky.
protective lie. He just got lucky. Luck had absolutely nothing to do with it. Person B simply chose to wage war against his own comfort zone. The difference between them is exactly 0% intelligence and 100% action capacity. We have now reached the end of this
This
journey,
is your
but I must give you
final
one
warning.
final harsh warning. You just spent 20 minutes watching an educational video about the psychology of taking action. Right now, your brain is actively pumping dopamine, making you feel incredibly productive and smart. It is
Do
whispering
not
that you have already
listen.
taken a huge step forward. Do not listen to it. You have not actually done anything yet. You merely expanded your cognitive capacity. Again, the true test of your character begins right now, the exact second this video ends. Will you close this app and go straight back to your comfortable, broke, and predictable routine? Or will you physically stand up, walk to the trash can, and throw away your old junk? Will you finally apply for that job, start that business, or take that incredibly uncomfortable first step? Your entire future, your wealth, and your success absolutely depend on the action you take in the next 5 seconds. Stop planning. Stop waiting for the stars to align. The perfect moment does not exist, and it never will. Embrace the fear, embrace the extreme messiness, and completely embrace the discomfort. Remember,
Do
if you
what you
want
have
things you have
never
never
done.
had, you must do things you have never done. Now
And
stop
with that,
watching videos.
wrap up the
Close this app.
presentation.
Get up and
Thank you,
execute.
and-
Outro music plays.